Well,
All right,
it's
sweet guys on there.
yeah. Thank you, Haley.
No problem.
Well, bye-bye. Well, we want to do a shout out to Haley and say thank you for saving us here. But what is happening is we are in the background uploading these Dutch things. Evidently, when I saved them, they saved them.
And we're back.
We're back again. So we are still waiting for a couple of these files to upload. But as is in the title, we are going to talk about why you're tired, how to look at the Dutch, how to kind of read the Dutch, and then we'll start to go into what you have to start to think about. And this goes into sleep. And so let's just dive right into it. Why is cortisol important? Do you want to throw in your stuff on cortisol, or you want me to go
Just
first?
want the 5th grade level.
Hit it.
So cortisol is your stress hormone, but you need that. That actually, we're talking about sleep. So you need that hit of cortisol. It's what wakes you up in the morning. And then you need it to boost you just a little higher. And then you're wide awake about 30 minutes later. And then you need it to taper off through the day in a nice, beautiful curve and then level out when it's time to go to sleep.
And so cortisol is, everybody knows cortisol as your stress hormone. And the problem with what a lot of people think about when it comes to cortisol is everybody wants to think that you have to lower your cortisol as low as possible so that you're not stressed and you're not gaining weight and you're not doing stuff. But cortisol actually has a rhythm. It actually has a pattern that it follows. And so a lot of times what we do, or what we have done in the past with people, is we take a spot test of cortisol. So that means we take one little moment in time, and we're going to show you why that one moment in time is wrong.
And the graph is actually, we call it the cortisol curve. So you want to know what your cortisol curve is.
And you want to make sure that your cortisol curve follows a pattern that is normal
for you, because we always think that we need to spike first thing in the morning, but there's third shifters out there. So they've got their whole day realigned. So their cortisol curve over time will move, and they should get their spike in the evening when everybody else is going to bed. They're waking up. But the problem comes with the body fighting itself, trying to realign its pattern with its lifestyle, and then flipping back from weekday to weekends.
So I'm going to add on here. So this is the first cortisol pattern. And what we want to see is, we want to see this should be the high and this should be the low. And so what we see with this person is that they come out of the gates as soon as they wake up, they are on fire. But then look what happens. This is 30 minutes later. And so they just continually throughout the day run out of gas.
Well, and this is a person that 30 minutes after they climb out of bed, they're already getting tired. And an hour after they get out of bed, they're probably wanting a nap already.
And so as we see this, there are ways to help this cortisol curve. There's ways to bring this up a little bit. There's ways to bring this down. I would say that this person has a lifestyle issue of when either they're not getting enough sleep, they're not going to bed early enough, and so they wake up to the alarm clock and they hit the ground running 1,000 miles an hour. And so their cortisol curve never actually goes below the limit. But here's the thing. If we were to take a reading right here, right at this point in time, what is that going to tell them? That's going to say, hey, my cortisol is low.
Well, and so to put this into real life perspective, say you wake up and then you have a doctor's appointment. You're supposed to fast. You're going to go in and get your labs drawn. And you get there an hour to 2 hours after you wake up. Well, you're going to be into that lolling phase here. And you're going to look low.
You're going to look a lot different than the person actually is. And so this is that person that, like she said, starts on fire. It's the mom that wakes up and has breakfast getting ready and has the kids ready and has everything set up. And then the minute they get out the door, boom, she is crashing.
I just blinked out my contacts. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to see your thingy, but here,
So
try.
So that this person right here is that crashing person, and they're reaching for coffee, they're reaching for stimulants, so they make it through the rest of the day. Now, funny enough, this person actually in the afternoon and the night is kind of showing here. So they have some HPA axis dysregulation. So we're going to go to the next one. And when we look at this next one, we're going to see a different type of cortisol curve. And once again, what would happen if we would take this person's cortisol reading right here after they woke up? Well, it looks absolutely perfect. But once again, this cortisol is high here. And then they bottom out. And then they bottom out at night again. So we need to extend the life of this cortisol so this person doesn't have this lull right after they wake up. And this person right here is the person that's too tired to go to bed. Oh, I lay there and I'm tired and I just can't go to sleep. And they get amped up. And so they have problems probably with sleep initiation. And then seeing cortisol this high, they have problems with sleep maintenance. And so there are things that you can do to help fix this. But look at their total DHEA production. So when we start to look at this and we see this total DHEA production, that takes in 3 metabolites of DHEA. The only one that we know so far that is important is DHEAS. And I would say that if we were to look at this person's DHEAS, it is probably tanked. And so when we see this, we know that this person is having a lot of trouble with energy maintenance. Like I said, they're probably having a hard time going to sleep at night. And then once they finally go to sleep, they probably wake up throughout the night. And there's a lot of things that you can do to actually remedy this. On this next one, this person's
this is just terrible.
Yeah, they wake up tired and never get rested. And so they barely have enough to get out of bed, and it never gets better for them until at night, or what is considered their night. So with this person, we start to look at what are your winding down habits? What are the things that you're doing here? We have to help cortisol here, and we can help both increase and extend that cortisol curve. But then at night, this person has trouble with sleep initiation. Their cortisol's too high. They're that jittery wired tired. Yes,
this creates a vicious circle because they can't sleep, so they can't make their hormones, so they can't make their cortisol, so that'll wake them up so they can get a curve.
And so the next one that we want to look at, and hold on, I'm sorry, I totally glossed over. And so this person, if they take a cortisol right here, or what happens if they have an afternoon/evening appointment with their doctor, and their doctor is going to think that they're anxious and is going to give them something for anxiety, anxiousness. And what's that going to do to the rest of this day? It's going to make this person's life total work. There will be no joy in this person's life. And once again, all of these people that you're seeing, these are actual patients. These are the patients that we've started with. A lot of these patients have been released because they're doing much, much better. They've achieved their goals, and we don't hang on to people once they achieve their goals. It's like, see you later. If you want to come back in for a check in 6 months, which most of them do, we see them in 6 months or a year, and they're doing great.
Unless they have like something that happens in their life and
they need more
help.
This person, once again, look at this, has a good pattern, but not high enough. So they're having a problem with energy. We look over here, DHEA is low. All of the production is low. We look at the total cortisol is low. And so when we see these things here, we're immediately looking at this and saying, okay, we're going to have to get DHEAS up. We need to do some stuff with whatever hormones. We don't have the rest of the picture. This is just looking at cortisol, and this person's cortisol just drops out. And so in the old school way we used to talk about cortisol, this person, without looking exactly at their numbers, this person actually looks like a stage 2, where cortisol is low and DHEA is low. That person's starting to go into that adrenal fatigue, stage 2, stage 3. They don't call it that now. Now they call it HPA axis dysfunction. And so that HPA axis is off. And there's tons of lifestyle stuff that you can do to get this, that's free, to get this to start to regulate. And then last but not least, this person starts low. What happens to this person if they test their single cortisol right here, or right here, or right here, or right here? Now, granted, overall, they're low. And this person needs to work on lifestyle, probably get to bed earlier, may need some help with sleep initiation. And that's her baby. And I'll be very honest, she does wonders with people's sleep with progesterone. And she has her little thing that she does with them, and they do absolutely fabulous. But look at how low this is. And then it stays low. And this is all related to your hormones. And it's very simple. Do we have anybody yet to tell us their sleep didn't straighten out?
No, because we've never had anybody that has perfect sleep. And we've never had anybody that didn't have perfect sleep not get wonderful sleep.
Yeah. So if that sounded confusing, when people come into us, their sleep sucks. When they, a week or two in, they are different people because they are actually getting to sleep. When you start to address foundational functional health, and this is functional health. This is looking at where a person is and how it actually functions, and starting to change that. That's the difference. Whereas if we just take a spot, if we don't hit the right spot, that's a good average, which happens a lot, then the treatment's going to be off. And so if you've wondered why your stuff doesn't work, that's probably why. The other thing is if you're getting hit over the head with, what are the sleep aids?
Well, I mean, there's tons of them out there, but you can
What's
use
the most common
like
one?
Benadryl, sleep.
What's the one that makes everybody do funky stuff? They walk, they sleepwalk. Ambien.
Ambien.
Okay, so if Ambien, Benadryl, those things,
Those are all over the counter.
Ambien is.
I believe so. There's an Ambien. I think Ambien is over the counter now, and we get a lot of people that come in and they are taking trazodones. So they are closing their eyes and going to sleep. Their brain is not sleeping. There's a difference.
Yeah. So if you track your sleep with like an Aura, when you take sleep aids, it's like drinking alcohol. Your body goes into overdrive. Although your brain shuts down and you sleep the sleep of the dead, it is not a restorative sleep. How many times have you drank too much, gone to sleep, and the next day you're just slow and you're just off? And that's because your body didn't go through the reparative phases.
Well, and there is a lot of us that don't drink, but if you've taken a Benadryl and that groggy feeling when you wake up the next day,
The hangover.
and then you just can't get going and you feel so tired, that is because you did fall asleep.
You closed your eyes.
But you did not sleep well for your body.
You closed your eyes. Your body didn't do the
Rest.
maintenance.
Didn't rest.
And it's got to do that maintenance while you are asleep. And if your liver's on overdrive, if you're stressed to the nines, whatever the case may be, we're here to help. We have helped tons and tons. I don't even know how many patients. We've helped lots of patients figure this out quickly. And a lot of patients choose to keep going further. We actually did design an introductory class. I haven't released the video on that yet, but pay attention to our regular web page. I get all these terms mixed up. Pay attention to our homepage because we will be introducing a program to deal with just the hormones in the sleep. That's an introductory program that's away from our large full-scale functional medicine program. And we would love to help you out because sleep is the first pillar. Cortisol is a big part of that. And next week, we will be going into the hormones even a little more. We'll be going into the second panel. And when we do that, we're going to start looking at, PCOS, and we're going to start looking at erectile dysfunction, and we're going to start looking at all of these other things. So stay tuned.
And we really harp on sleep a lot, but sleep is the number one thing that drives a lot of other things. So
hormones included.
So if you are sleeping well, and you're sleeping long enough, you will, and your body is healthy enough and has what it needs, it will create the hormones for the next day. And so leading into our next one for next week, you want to be able to sleep so that you can create your hormones so that you can utilize them so you can get rid of them. And that is a beautiful cycle.
And with that being said, we're a little over. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening.